Hey, I'm Jeff, and I make music with my brother.
Hi, I'm Jonathan, and I also make music with my brother.
Together, we are Ekko and Sidetrack, and we make music that sounds like this.
And this.
And even this. This podcast is about music, creativity, and everything in between.
Welcome to A Band Apart with Ekko and Sidetrack.
Jonathan, have you ever seen someone eat 19 burgers to themselves?
I did once, but
I think you're lying. Short Order Burger Co. is the only place that kind of buffoonery could happen, and it's the only place you'd want it to happen because it's the best burger in Perth.
And to buy those 19 burgers,
Or anything.
online or in store, use our code word Ekko and Sidetrack for 10% off. Go get them 19 burgs, bruh.
Breakfast is the best day of the year, and if you think it's not, then I challenge you to a wrestling match at Breakfast.
Be there next Sunday to see Jeff wrestle nearly 15 people at once in the bowl while also playing a DJ set.
We are Ekko and Sidetrack. See us at Breakfast. Jonathan, firstly, I want to say congratulations on doing a podcast without me.
Thank you very much.
And a big shout out to Fred V for being a great guest on Zoom.
Thanks, Fred.
I had a lot of fun while I was away.
I'm glad you did.
That's all I'm going to say about that.
I'm glad you did. The photos you've shown me and what you've told me already sound like you had a blast.
Yeah, I did. And one of the things I did do is stay off my phone for about 2.5 days, mostly because I didn't have any signal out at Pump House Point where we were in the middle of Tasmania, essentially.
What did you do at Pump House Point?
Pumped house and pointed at things. We rode on electric bikes or e-bikes, ate cheese, drank wine, made drinks from the Honesty Bar where you write what you drink.
And pay for it later?
Pay for it later.
What a lovely experience.
Had baths, had showers.
Beautiful.
Had sex.
Oh, beautiful.
I think one of the best things I did, kind of coupled in with the phone thing, through just the fact I was literally on SOS from 2 hours before I got there.
Yeah.
I sat and looked out this big window of our room. Pump House Point is a boutique hotel on Lake St. Clair. Look it up.
And this is in Tasmania and Australia.
In Australia.
For those who
in the world
are listening in Australia, that aren't from Australia, it's the little island that's under the right-hand side of Australia on the map.
I like how you refer to a map and then refer to the right-hand side. It's very specific. It would be the eastern side of the map.
Well, it depends where you're looking at it from.
If you're looking at the map upside down.
If you're facing north, looking at the map, I'm just kidding. Go on.
It's this beautiful place. It's an old pump house where they used to pump water from one lake down to another reservoir, and I think it was either part of hydroelectric stuff or the actual water supply, or maybe both. And it's this amazing refurbished buildings, or 2 refurbished buildings, and you kind of go there and it's very close to some amazing hikes and some beautiful scenery, and you go there and relax or go hiking
lovely.
and stuff. And but this window of our room was just huge, and you could just stare out and look at the lake and the mountains in the distance and the forest, and the weather just changed. It would be raining, and then 15 minutes later it would be sunny, and then you look out on the grass and there'd be the bush chicken thing running around. And it was just so relaxing to do that. And it really made me go, when I do build a house, I would like a big, expensive piece of glass to look out of and something nice to look out of. So I made a decision right then and there that I'm going to probably have to spend $1 million on a house. No, but that's the joys of a view. That's why going to the beach or looking at the horizon is so beautiful. Just that changing vista is just it's like television, but good for you.
I think there's something also comforting about being inside while seeing that.
Yeah, totally.
Like a view is very nice if you're in the mountains or on the beach or something like that and watching a view. But being inside, being warm, cozy, and seeing a storm kind of roll in or the different cycles of the weather is very relaxing.
We were just on the couch and like reading, and then we both kind of started to doze off, and it was just incredibly relaxing. And yeah,
that sounds beautiful.
It was, and I returned feeling refreshed and vigorous and vibrant to finish the end of the year.
I'm glad.
Strong. On a strong. We've been up since 3:00 this morning.
And probably got to sleep at about 11 o'clock last night.
Yeah, because why, Jonathan?
Because we did a Reddit AMA today and are doing a Reddit AMA still.
Oh, look at the questions coming in.
So we did it at the UK time, 8 p.m. UK time, which is 3 a.m. Sorry, 4 a.m. in Perth. So we woke up, came in, answered some questions, then went to the gym, got some breakfast, came back, did some music, now doing a podcast. But we're tired.
A little bit. So yeah, any brain...
There'll be more brain fumbles, more so than every other week we do this. And speaking about brain fumbles, thank you very much for your compliment about doing the podcast with Fred. That's the second podcast I've done by myself because I did one with Max.
Yes.
So next time it's going to be your turn to do one.
We'll go somewhere and I might just do a solo podcast where I just talk to
I've
just talk to the
about it.
This reminds me back in 78.
It was hard. It was really hard. Like I underestimated how easy it is to talk to you when we come into the studio and we do some music and we go talk to Carl and we kind of like warm up and then we can just sit down and gas bag because you're right there.
Gas bag.
And I thought that I could just work on music, go to the gym, come back and instantly talk to Fred like we normally do. So I talked to Fred, like last time I spoke to Fred was probably on the phone, probably about a month ago. But going back to Zoom and having like not that personal connection was challenging.
Yeah.
Because you suddenly like, you can't pick up on some of the body language or just the vibe as much.
And also, I remember you telling me that, I hope this is okay to say, but you were kind of like, oh, I'm kind of in music mode.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn into like
I didn't want to do
mode.
I didn't want to do the podcast.
Yeah.
But I mean...
And it's easier to get into we can be sitting here and being like, I'm really into feeling like a mood podcasting.
Yeah. And get into the vibe of it.
Because you're in person, it just turns into a conversation that we're recording. But if you're on Zoom, it's like an interview job that you've got to do. That you could just turn it off if you wanted to.
Yeah. And I think I came back from the gym and I was like, I've got to do the podcast. And I think the podcast is good, but it definitely showed that it's not as easy as it is in person or with you.
Thanks, buddy.
No worries. Because I think that's part of the magic and the ease of the conversation that we have is because we're like, this isn't particularly difficult.
30 years of experience.
Yeah.
I will say one thing, though. That roller coaster tycoon game sounds kind of interesting. I used to love theme park.
Yeah.
And the thing that I enjoyed most was building the roller coasters or the water slides.
Yeah.
And I would always, you could potentially ruin your park by...
Financially, yes.
Financially going overboard with those things. But if I just had a game where I could just go overboard with roller coasters, I don't know. It feels like that could be kind of fun.
I think it's still being made, or it would have been upgraded to a point where I'm sure you can do a hell of a lot more than...
I wonder how much time I could waste on that.
Probably hours. Hours on end. It made me... telling him that I've never been on a roller coaster did make me think maybe I should go to Adventure World this summer and go on the roller coaster.
I've never been on a roller coaster either, buddy. I heard you say that I did go on that roller coaster.
I thought you did.
I didn't go on it. I said no.
I'm sorry.
I'm admitting to it now, dear listener. I am
You said no. You
I said
bailed
no,
out.
I was scared. I was like, that doesn't appeal to me. Like, not even it doesn't appeal to me. I was fearful of it.
But also, like, when we went, I was 9. You would have been 13.
Yeah.
Ben would have been 17.
Yeah, I didn't know where I fit in the world. I was probably had a weird boner or something. Like, I don't know.
We can come back to that.
All right, let's bookmark it for later. But I didn't go on it, and I want to go on a roller coaster, but I don't want to go on that kind of shit one. I'd prefer to just like, let's kick it off with Disneyland or...
Yeah. Don't waste the time on a possible subpar roller coaster.
Yeah.
If you want to do it once, you want to do it.
And it's funny that like I think of it as, or we think of it as something you only do once. But like I'd like to be someone that likes a roller coaster. But I got really fucking motion sick. I had eaten a bunch of drugs. Come to think of it. On the Ranger, that thing that goes...
Fuck the Ranger, though. The Ranger is built, like, at least...
The Ranger's just a fucking... a roller coaster that just goes in circles.
But a roller coaster moves, turns left, right, weaves, up, down. The Ranger just swings. So I feel like you could kind of lock into that motion and that would make you more sick than something that felt a bit more like a car.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to give it a go one day. I feel like Disneyland or Six Flags could be the place to go. Remember when we were in Sweden in Göteborg? I think I'm saying that correctly. And I think
Gothenburg.
They have the world's oldest wooden roller coaster, and I'm like, that's not how I want to start. That's not a medal that I need to pin on my chest.
No.
If I've never ridden a roller coaster, I don't want to die on the world's oldest. Like, that seems like a thing. Like, you get to heaven and they're like, really?
Feels like
you could have done anything else in the world.
And especially being
the oldest wooden roller coaster.
Someone who's risk aware, at least from my point of view, someone that's risk aware of the mechanics of a roller coaster. And I don't like the idea of it breaking then go on a wooden roller coaster.
Yeah. I enjoyed what you were talking about with the whole Final Destination thing, because that definitely makes you fearful. And you just said you're risk aware of the workings of a roller coaster. That's suggesting you know some of the engineering behind it.
Oh, no. I didn't even know roller coaster. When Fred was like, oh, yeah, like, because roller coasters are like trains. I was like, fuck.
Yeah, that was a funny bit.
That's right. It is like a train.
But and then you've just compared it to a car. So it's just on wheels. Like, oh, don't go. Build up enough speed, otherwise we're not going to make this loop.
I'm glad we didn't go on that roller coaster. I think... You're right. The way to do it is to go to, and probably with our nieces and nephews, to go to like a...
so that they're like, this looks so much fun. And you're like, I'm not scared at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good motivator. I swear, Josh, when we did the podcast with Josh and Fred, they told us about going to Six Flags in the States. I think they had a story about going to a theme park where they like spent the day at a theme park on the fly-out day. Because they both loved rides.
I don't remember that, but I something that did make me a little bit fearful of rides in the last 5 years was those people being crushed by that log ride in in Dreamworld.
Yeah, that's where the kids were behind the parents.
Yeah, and the parents.
That's horrific.
Oh,
talk about one, putting a dampener on the podcast, but two, talk about a horrific. Like the possibility of the most fun.
Yeah.
Then to be like the worst thing to happen. Like, we're going to Adventure World. We're going to go to the theme park. It's going to be the best.
And we're going to go on this cool ride.
And we're going to be like,
oh my God, they're being minced in front of me. Like,
this is going to be such a good family time. Oh, that makes my, we laugh about it because this is how we deal with pain. But like,
we make jokes because it's
scary,
too painful to think of the truth.
Fuck, man. Like,
yeah, talk about a high to low experience. The difference.
Yeah. I mean, I would maybe say that all extreme sports or all semi-risky things have that element to it, right? Like skydiving, super fun. Apparently not according to Fred, but super fun. And then if it goes wrong, it goes wrong so bad.
Yeah.
Well, but you don't expect something to go wrong on a a log ride.
Any ride.
Oh,
You get on those things with complete trust. And every few years something happens and everyone goes, "Ooh," and gets a bit weird, and then you just go back to being in trust mode. Like, I trust that everything on this thing is fixed and checked and ready to roll. It's like getting on a plane. You're like, the due diligence has been done because I can't go around and check every screw and bolt.
It does make me wonder why we don't have more trust for strangers when every day we drive on freeways and in cars, and most of the time nothing happens, and we're driving at high speeds, and at any time someone could just like turn into each other. Yet we don't, and it's actually quite safe when you look at the statistics
I think
of it, and why that doesn't translate to trusting strangers more.
I think what that is like we're just trusting everyone to follow the simple rules. Stay in your lane, drive roughly the right speed, and don't crash into me. When you're out of your car, you're asking someone to follow
so many
other rules. Don't touch me, don't come near me, don't steal my purse, don't steal my child, don't rip me off.
Yeah.
Are you grinning at me because you like the look of me? Are you sexualizing me? Are you harassing me? Have you just eaten something weird?
It's more, I guess it's more binary in a car because it's like you're also driving the car, so you don't want to get hurt. So of course you're not going to swerve to the other lane. Whereas in regular life, there are so many more variables.
So many more opportunities to swerve into the other lane, both metaphorically and physically.
That's a very good point. I guess like because self-preservation is such a
I've never wanted to turn myself into a preserve more than when I'm driving.
I'm going to make myself into marmalade.
Ooh, a delicious conserve coming your way. A preserved berry conserve. Self-preservation has the concept of turning oneself into a jam. Imagine having a serious conversation with someone about self-preservation and then just listing off all these things about how to jam yourself.
I'm going to just go inside that jar for the next 6 to 8 months.
I'd start by boiling the bottom of the thing. How is this preserving yourself? What do you value in the self-preservation? And you're like, what flavour would you be is more important.
I bought a bunch of kumquats. I think I'd be a kumquat marmalade. And I think the process of covering myself in sugar and kumquats would be really good.
Is that how you want to be buried? Entombed?
No.
You've gotten over your baked potato obsession?
I would still like to... I'd like to come out of a baked potato.
For your 40th?
Yeah, to be presented in a baked potato and no one sees me go in the oven.
Yeah. But where the hell is Jono? What's that giant piece of alfoil doing there? Oh my God, I'm burning! Come
out. If I was to be entombed...
And the only way to cure your burns is to cover you in sour cream.
I would, I mean, I would like to cover my whole body in some sort of
gel,
something before I die.
You can do it tomorrow if you want. You can do it today. No judgment here, buddy.
I could cover myself in sour cream. I've told you about like how it feels nice to interact with foods and things that you're not meant to interact with, and like the tactileness of that before.
Are you talking like putting your hands into a bunch of beans?
Yeah. Or mayonnaise.
Putting your penis into
No, not penis. Like
giving yourself a ham job.
Not
lay the ham in your hand and then rub it out.
Not penis. I mean like hands or like arms or things like, you know, being being covered. If you just got sour cream and covered your whole spread it on yourself. That's such an odd feeling.
It's like putting sunscreen on, though, really.
Yeah, but it's sour cream. Like, there's an element of like, that's not what it's meant to used for. You know, if you filled up a bathtub of milk and had a bath in milk,
yep,
that there seems to be this like mystery about that.
Yeah.
That is enticing to me.
All right.
Like, you know, it's like swimming in jelly, or the woman on Patch Adams that goes in the noodle pool. There's something about that feeling.
It's quite strange.
It's very strange and kind of foreign, and you would never...
It's like I'm doing ad-libs to your podcast. We've done that twice. We said the same thing at the same time. We're like those rappers.
You would never feel...
Yeah, feel it.
you would never have that feeling of, you know, being covered in something. And I can see how that would be enticing for me.
For me.
But what I would be entombed in if I died, I think I would like to be burnt and sent off, afloat, Nordic style.
A la Game of Thrones, like put on a pyre.
Yeah.
Sent off the river, and someone has to set you aflame from a distance.
Yeah, potentially with a bow and arrow.
That's quite cool.
Or I want to just be put in a hole and plant a tree.
I like the idea of putting a hole
on like a plot in someone's backyard, basically.
I think there's rules against that.
Yeah, there are. But if you've got big enough land, I think you can have like a
burial plot.
A burial plot, but that land must be quite larger than anything that I plan to get.
Well, I'll probably get one with my fucking giant window.
But it would be cool to, like, you know, hopefully not, but if I die before you and you're living in your glass house that overlooks a lake and there's a tree down there and your kids grow up and they always play around the tree and they always talk about the ghost of Uncle Jono they see hiding in the tree.
And I'll be like, that's got nothing to do with it. We cremated his body and took the money he was going to use to do that and planted the tree.
But like, and then there's like a history around that tree.
I completely agree. I think that's a beautiful idea, and I think
that's how come the tree on Mum and Dad's corner, you know, like the big Christmas tree that's on the corner of our house. That's why that's so big, because that's where Dad put Papa.
On just a lonely night, like on a moonlit night, that's where I buried your grandfather.
He dug down and cable tied him to the roots.
Oh.
Sorry, that's funny because our dad uses cable ties and that's his solution to everything. And I can just see him being like, oh, this
not
is
to bury his own father. I like the idea of the seed pod idea of how to be buried. Also, the sky burial is a cool concept.
What,
they put your
Tibetan sky burial?
Yeah, you kind of put your body on some sort of high thing and the animals eat you. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
Yeah, but I think there's like a fair bit of kind of cutting the whole body open and splitting you up and kind of exposing.
Yeah, probably, but you're dead, so fucking who cares? I don't think.
Yeah,
I think true. I don't have any plans to die anytime soon. Touch wood.
I'm glad. Neither do I.
That doesn't happen. But I think as I do edge closer to it, the practices and traditions will have changed a little bit.
I've got no interest in going in a coffin.
I don't think so either. Unless that coffin is filled with seeds.
Or unless that coffin is filled with all my possessions and all the gold I own and everyone that was important to me within 3 degrees is really killed at the same time.
Pharaoh
and buried with me.
I need my servants and my servants' servants. Yeah, that's a real powerful way to go down. They say you can't take it with your bullshit.
That's such a dick move for pharaohs to do. To be like, oh, he died, but there goes everyone else that was close to him also has to be buried with him.
But if that's what you believed, that you you're just going to the next life. You'd be like, come to the next life. And some people might not have been too butthurt about the whole thing. They might have been like, yeah, it's going to be pretty good over there.
Yeah, that's what you're saying until that stone goes over and shuts out all the light and you realise you're lying there or sitting there alive with a million scarab beetles, ants, snakes.
We've seen The Mummy, Jenna. We know what's going on. That scene is definitely
basically
what I'm thinking as well.
Yeah. I don't want that kind of thing.
I'm going to summarize and just say I don't want to be buried alive.
Yeah. Or die within the next
50 years.
50 years. Yeah, that would be a positive net
outcome.
Positive for us.
Not buried alive, not die in the next 50 years, no scarab beetles.
No scarab beetles. I think that's good.
That's the end of the podcast. Thanks. We've really dug deep on today's podcast.
Jeff, we're nearing the end of the year. What are you most excited for 2022?
Writing lots of new music, exploring new ideas from that perspective, travel, playing shows again, and growth, and trying to push the limits a bit more. I feel like I've found a bit of a good groove, and now I want to springboard on again.
Can you, I kind of found a good groove. Can you give an example of like where in life you found that groove? Like, is that in music or is that in exercise? Is that in...
I kind of think, I suppose I'll make the analogy that's like, it's easier to jump higher if you're standing on a solid base.
Yeah.
And I think my base has become more solid in this last year.
Yeah.
And I'd want to jump high.
Yeah. That's a great analogy. I think
the podcast is over.
Every year you should aim to increase the foundation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And increase the solidarity.
The
solidarity of your foundation, so then you can keep building on top of that.
Yeah, and when your foundation is rocked, you might realize that the solid foundation that you were building on wasn't as solid as you thought. So you have to like do some reworking, and you have to think about it a bit more, and you have to do the work.
Yeah.
And I feel like, it's been a positive, and I'm looking forward to having the opportunity to jump higher, go further.
Yeah.
Evolve a bit more.
I would say a similar thing. There's something that's always, I find, hopeful about the beginning of a new year.
I agree, and sorry to interrupt, but I also find the end of the year a tad bit stressful.
Because
I'm like, what have I got to do? What have I done? What have I not done? I've got to finish this.
The same.
Everyone else is winding down. Everyone's like, come to drinks. Let's fucking drink margaritas at 12 o'clock. And I'm like, dude, I got things to do. We got a show on the weekend. I want to finish this song.
But I think that's the difference between, and I said this when you told me the other day, you're like, I feel this time of year, I can feel like I can't enjoy it as much.
Yeah.
And I think that is because we live our lives
1/4 mile at a time.
We live our lives.
Rest in peace, Paul Walker!
We live our lives not as structured as people with a 9 to 5. So like,
and also I don't fucking hate my job. I don't crave 2 weeks off.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, we enjoy our work. Like, even at Christmas time, we celebrate Christmas on Christmas Eve, and then on Christmas Day, I mean, you might do something with Holly's family this year.
Hey Holly.
Hey Holly. Usually, Jeff and I would end up in the studio.
Yeah.
And like, we'd maybe go to a friend's house that night or something like that. So it's not. Yeah, we don't feel like we have to escape from work, but also because we are prepping for Breakfast, and usually we have a show around New Year's.
Yeah.
So it does feel like we have to
get
work done.
That's a bit of that deadline thing.
Yeah.
But I think if we did a bit of an assessment of what we've got ready for Breakfast and what we want to play, I think we're in a pretty good position.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Maybe we could just like be a little bit more relaxed for the next week?
I'm going to relax after breakfast. Like I'm going to, and planning like social things after breakfast because we're not playing on New Year's.
Yeah, actually, I was going to talk to you about like taking an actual kind of break.
Yeah.
Yeah. Being like, we can do anything.
Yeah, not in the studio. I don't have to work.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What am I going to do?
Go to the studio.
Go to the studio and work. But that's what I wanted. Like, that's what I want to do. I want, going to do. I talked about fun stuff, and I have done more fun stuff. I went to an aqua park that's predominantly filled with children for my friend's birthday, and that was really fun and silly and jumping around. And I jumped off a 5-meter inflatable height thing.
Good words.
And it was on a slide. I went on a slide that like you got air on. It was really fun. That was really good. But even when I finished that fun, I was like, I kind of want to go to the studio. Like
this is a pretty.
This is fun.
Yeah,
this is fun.
And there's also something burning in you that's like, I want to get it out. I want to do it. It's not a painful experience. You're like, there's things that want to come out.
Mm. There's a lot in me that wants to come out.
How's that coffee going?
It's going well. It's doing its job.
That's what you want. You need to wake up.
Well, yeah, it's waking me up, but also extraction is imminent.
Whoa.
Well, not imminent, but it's working its way down.
What do you think your relationship with play is? Do you think sometimes that you go, this is bloody stupid, and you like want to get on with it? Like
no,
the crossover of play and work.
I think the two are into. I think the two, and I think this could be a positive and a negative. I think play, fun, and work have been so. They're happening at all times for me.
I tend to agree
that I don't have as much need for the separation because I would prefer to do all three constantly.
But I also think that
and I think that's why when we have organized playtime, there's part of me that does some play, and then I go, well, okay, well, like now I need to do the work because usually
I'm mixing the two.
I'm mixing it up all the time. I remember saying, I've said this for a long time, like I need to be able to fuck around at my job. And I don't mean like fuck around, like not do work, but I need to be able to laugh and to be silly.
Absolutely.
And enjoy the work because that's how I enjoy my life. I could never do a job where it's like buttoned down and you're at an office and everything's tight and you've got HR and you're like, I can't say what I want to do, but on the weekend I can, and that's when I'm going to have fun, and like that's when I undo my top button and call my boss a fuckhead. Like I couldn't do that. I would find that very difficult to do. I need to be able to being able to have fun the majority of the time.
Absolutely.
And there's obviously times for being serious. I'm not saying there's not, but I think that the clear distinction is just.
Do you think that can be
not as hard in our business?
A negative as well, though? Because, like, you know, it can be a bit harder to focus on doing the work when the work needs to be done.
Well, that's the thing. You need more
discipline.
You need more discipline when you have, when you just choose to lead your life that way or have a fun vocation.
Yeah. Adding to that, play being something of like exploring new ideas and like being creative. Do you think sometimes you stop yourself playing and start doing the work or the perceived work when working on playful and creative ideas?
Yeah, because it's that like, if my cycle is work, play, rest.
Eat a Mars bar.
Work, play, rest. And for most people, work is 9 hours, play is 2 hours, and rest is 7 hours. Then maybe mine's work is 2 hours, play is 2 hours, rest is 2 hours.
And you just keep going.
And you kind of keep going, but I'll go through that cycle 3 times.
Yeah.
And I think it's something I need to work on. But like, if we're,
but what if you're playing?
But you know, in a scenario where we're playing, so we're being creative, and it's been 2 hours, it would be really good for creativity if we just said, like, let's just play today. Imagine if we just, you know, used the organ, used the MS-20, used some of the soft synths we've got on the computer, and just recorded a session of just 8 hours of fun, no outcome, just fun. Imagine the outcome we'd have if we just played. Just like imagine the outcome if we came into the studio and just did 8 hours of pure mixing. Now we do that. We do the mixing stuff when it comes to finishing a tune, but very rarely do we have free play to the extent that you start to get into these interesting places. I think there is something in me that's like, I'll fuck around for, an hour, 2 hours. But then when I find something, I'm like, okay, now my work cap goes on. I need to maybe mix this a little or turn this into a tune or do something with it. So at the end of the day, I've got a product that's formulated rather than just this grouping of
I think you can still play and start to drill down on an idea and still remain playful about it.
Yeah.
I think it's about not holding too tightly onto the expectation of what the outcome is.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Expectations is a huge one, because so often I'm like, if you have a good idea, then I think we're both pretty good at seeing potential in things. And you have an idea and you hear what it could be. So then you go, okay, I want to try to get to the finished tune as quickly as possible, but I only have another hour. So I'm going to rush there because I want that outcome. So you therefore are quicker to go on to the work aspect. But usually that's just trying to speed up a process that invariably should just be done at a constant rate rather than taking all these shortcuts and kind of doing it in a shitty way.
Yeah, I think something I'm trying to open myself up to a lot more is creating demos of songs in the same way that if you were in a band, you'd create a super rough jam. And you're like, there's kind of something there. And you kind of finesse it a bit more. And then you're like, cool, now we have a little demo. And let's put that aside and let's generate lots of demos.
Yeah.
And know full well that we're going to change them and things like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think we do rush to make something a bit more finalized because we want to have the finalized product, or also we're a bit time poor. But I think we've never been more ahead of our musical adventures. So hopefully we can get more play in, and that's part of the reason why we're doing a bit of what we're doing next year about taking some time off and playing.
I think our friend Caitlin, hey Caitlin,
shout out to Caitlin,
asked me what it felt like to release a song. And I said, it's nice, but there's a certain amount of anticlimax that happens because there's a part of me that works on something and then I'm really proud of it, and then put it out to the world and I want the applause straight away.
And also you kind of want to turn on the television. It's like, Ekko and Sidetrack have released another song today, and I personally think it's a goddamn banger.
Yeah,
and then have someone want the amount of work that you've put in to come back you.
But at once, like
in a perceived way
like
as well.
All the feedback we've got, and like some of the messages, and
it's
what
beautiful.
Some people have said to me about that song, it goes like, "Whoa, like that's amazing. I never thought of it like that."
Yeah, absolutely.
And does make me feel great, and how the song's performing, very happy with. The support we're getting on it is great, but there's still part of me that wants to stand to say the last line, the lights go down, and to hear the applause, and then the lights come back up, and you go stand in the front and you bow and you do a curtain call. There's like, I think that's like the performer in me that wants that gratification, like right there, rather than gratification that seeps and comes in drips and drabs.
It's also very like the distance from the performance to the audience response is a bit further, less immediate. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, but it's even then, I don't want to stand up in front of a crowd and have people applaud me for a song I wrote, and then I'm like, yes, that feels good. Like that would make me feel uncomfortable. But there is a certain part of like the presentation of how a song is. Yeah,
you're allowed, but you're allowed to feel that yearning and not be an arrogant bastard.
But it is interesting that I say that's what maybe it feels like I want, but then when I get that is uncomfortable. So there's like somewhere in between where I think what it is like an ego thing where you want someone to be like, I really don't know, because someone has said to me in person, that song's really great and it's fantastic and something that should boost my ego, and that is that's more special than a crowd of fucking strangers clapping at you. It's like one of your friends saying, this really touched me and this is well done. I'm really proud of you for doing that, or to know you for doing that thing. But yet that's still, I don't know, that still doesn't fill a kind of hole. It's not, I shouldn't say a hole, but that still doesn't like feel a satisfaction of success.
Yeah, it's
success might be the wrong word. Like, it still doesn't satisfy something, and maybe what the issue is me downplaying something and being like, well, thanks, but like, move on. We've got to move on to the next one, and it's a fact of not celebrating success. I think it's a combination of things, and I'm probably not articulating it very well.
I know what you mean, because I kind of feel it as well, and I don't have the words at the moment to articulate it. Really, it's you want to know it's good, but you also don't want to stand up there and bask for too long, because that could also be dangerous as well. Because
and that doesn't, and the idea of basking doesn't make me feel good.
I like basking in the sun.
Yeah, but not in like praise. I think I need to work on taking. It's funny. I seek approval, but I don't take approval well.
Yes. Yeah. And sometimes you hear criticism pretty loudly when it's not as loud as it is. So like, imagine you heard your approval as loudly as you...
That would be great.
Imagine you amplify your approval as much as you amplify your criticism.
Something I'm really
trying...
This
chicken could be slightly better. I've ruined Christmas.
Something I'm really trying to do
chicken was really
is
good,
when someone does give me approval or feedback, is look at them and say thank you. Because I would notice that the first thing is being like, thanks. Yeah, no, thank you very much, and start looking away.
Yeah, absolutely.
But and being in that moment of like, this is kind of uncomfortable, but just this is it. This person's saying you did a good job, and you did do a good job.
It's a present-making thing as well.
So well done, because there is, like there is in everyone, there is that voice inside you that's like, yeah, that person's just being nice. or like that. Yeah, they're saying that, but they didn't see you fuck off those last 2 days you were in the studio, or like they didn't see you when you didn't do this today.
I think though a healthy relationship with your own like quality of your outcomes. That's not a good sentence. I think a healthy relationship with the way you get feedback and the way what you think of your own work is important. Because if you think all of your work is great, then it's probably not going to be very good. Yeah. But if you think none of your work is great, you're never going to get it out. Yeah. So you need that balance. You're like, oh, is it? And then you start getting more confidence. And it comes back to that thing we spoke about the other week, that courage versus confidence thing. Yeah. It's like it takes confidence is something you gain by experience, but courage is something you do on the first run. Yeah. Yeah. To get more confidence, you have to be courageous to start.
Yeah. And to be proud. I think being proud of
something is kind of like it was given a bit of a negative thing. It's like, oh, that proud person over there. Like,
but it's that still exists, especially in Australian culture. There's like who does he think he is? I remember I had that attitude to people. I remember
sometimes it still happens. Like you see someone doing something, and part of you wants to cut them down because it'll make you feel more comfortable because you haven't achieved something.
Yeah, but I think nowadays, as soon as that feeling comes up, you sit with it and you're like, I'm just being a dick because I haven't done this, or I wanted to do X, or
this holds up the mirror to my shortcomings or my perceived shortcomings.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people do that, and I don't know if a lot of people change once that happens. I think a lot of people see the shortcomings and then go, I know I'm saying that to a person. I know I'm giving shit to Jeff because I know I haven't done the work he did on X, but I'm not going to, instead of doing the work, I'm just going to keep giving shit to Jeff because that's a comfortable place to be. Mm. It's very hard to act and then reflect and recognize that your thought pattern is wrong or negative or harmful to you
or harmful to others
and
then do something about it, like to like change the situation and to be like, this thing isn't serving me very well. Yeah, I need to look at doing something a bit differently.
It's just self-reflection. Yeah, and being honest with yourself.
Yeah, which is hard to do.
Definitely, and we're not professionals at it at all, but I think that's something that we've really worked on.
It is.
And I can feel...
Pardon me for yawning.
Going into 2020, you talk about the strengthening of your base. Mm. The base of my penis is pretty strong, but the base of my heart is getting stronger.
Whoa, that's a beautiful image.
Or maybe the base of my soul. I feel like your soul and your higher self and all that is encompassed in the soul.
Encompassed?
Encompassed. Encompassed.
Spell it.
I am encompassed. Encompasses. I think your higher self and who you are as a person, your self-esteem and all that stuff is kind of encompassed in your soul, which sits at the base of your penis. Yeah. Or for women, I think it's like just behind the pelvic, like on top of the pelvic bone. Yes. I'm just kidding. That stuff is in your soul.
Touch my encompass.
And I think my soul, I can feel that getting harder.
I can see it getting harder.
Growing. I'm really trying to make this joke work, but also be poignant at the same time. But yeah, I feel this year has made my soul stronger.
That's good. You've done a lot of things.
And I think I'm excited for 2022 to increase the size and width of it.
I look forward to seeing it more engorged.
I look forward to showing you.
And others. Are we going to do a podcast next week? We are going to do a podcast next week.
Yeah, every week.
Every week, rain, hail, or shine, get your...
Next week is Christmas Eve.
Trap. Is it Christmas Eve? I don't think so.
No, it's the day before Christmas.
It was the day before Christmas.
Sorry, it's the day before Christmas Eve.
Do you know what that's called? Nothing. Do you have a little story for me, Jonathan? You know how I like these stories at the end of the podcast to end on a good note.
What kind of story would you like?
I don't know. Something fun, poignant. It's weird because my brain is quite tired, and you know how your brain just like goes strange places. Like if you're like drifting off, your brain will start making like strange links.
Yeah.
That seem like they don't need to make as much sense as when you're fully awake.
Yeah. In
my head, I was just like, maybe Johnny's got a cool story about a buffalo or a bison or a trampling or I don't know, some sort of a wild tale, like something mad happened. I don't know. It's not like I'm feeding you a story or something like, Jonathan, have you been to the zoo lately? I'm just wondering. I'm purely spitballing.
No, I don't really have any trampling stories.
And that's a good thing, I think. I don't think many people would like that kind of a story.
Wild.
One of those.
Wild stories that I could think of.
I'm not sure why my brain went there. Sorry.
That have happened recently.
We saw two echidnas when we were in Tasmania.
That's cool.
They're really cool. They got a really cute little walk.
They are very cute. They like waddle.
Yeah, but they've got a bit of attitude to them. They were crossing the road. We did not see a wombat, which we were a bit disappointed by, but we did see a wombat carcass.
They're big, hey?
They're quite big.
They're like 44-gallon drums.
Not quite, but they're quite...
The one that I didn't see was that big.
They're quite solid little guys. Yeah.
I think we should end it. Do you think we should end it? What are you searching for?
I am looking for Ali Brandy. Really, Jonathan?
Anthony LaPaglia, if you're listening, we love you.
Get in touch. No, that's it. That's all I'll say.
Okay,
about that.
But maybe next week, if you want a story of not specifically a trampling. But I
don't know why my brain went there.
You want a story?
In my mind's eye, I saw one of those giant bison things that live in Yosemite, and I was like, what are they even called? Do they trample people? Has Jono got a story about that kind of thing?
I can write one.
I should write a story. I talked about writing a fucking story the other week.
Yeah, we got to do our... That's what we're going to do in the break. That's how we're going to spend the last 5 days of this year.
Just working on a goddamn story.
We're finishing the creative things that we wanted to do before the end of the year.
Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you for listening to us during our sleep-deprived madness. And thank you for missing me.
No, I did miss you, buddy. Definitely didn't feel the same without you.
I missed you too, buddy. And I love you. And I love you, dear listener. So
I love you too. And I love you. Check out our website.
He's losing his mind.
And I'm reaping all the benefits.
All right, buddy.
See you later. Thanks for listening to this week's podcast. We are Ekko and Sidetrack on all social media. We've recently updated our YouTube. Go and give that a subscribe so you can keep up to date with all the latest video podcasts. And follow us on Spotify too so you can keep up to date with all our latest music releases. Big up.